Welcome to your Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast, hosted by Bea Crutelli. This is a space for everyone to learn anything and everything related to healthy healing, including naturopathic medicine, music, dance, yoga, meditation, eco-fashion, mothering, and organic lifestyle choices. Topics for expanding universal consciousness. Come join me weekly as we delve in and begin this journey, sharing valuable content gathered over the past 3 decades, helping to support a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Hello, and thank you for joining me on this Sunday afternoon in my home, Northern California. And I decided to test out doing a little recording video today, not just doing audio. I'm not sure how long the podcast will be today, but probably shorter than normal. It looks like it probably will run for about 15 minutes. So, welcome. And I am Bea, in case you have not seen me before. I don't do a lot of recordings. I plan on, hopefully in the future, doing many more. I'm talking about video recordings. I do some on social media, but nothing on my podcast except for one casual, spontaneous one that I did, I believe, in the beginning of the winter. And I just was kind of sitting on my couch doing one. I believe it was the one on the immune system, or one of the ones on the immune system that I posted earlier, if you want to hear about that. And I ended up making a whole presentation out of it. And then I got really discouraged because I was like, I don't want to just be sitting on a screen for like 30 minutes and, talking, just this talking head on a screen. I know for myself personally, I prefer listening to podcasts because I don't have a lot of time to sit and watch. And, for podcasts, I can just listen, and it's very productive for me in that way. If I have a guest, which I do want to have guests in the future, then I think that's a little different, because then you're kind of having a conversation and there's like one or two other people. But yeah, I was asking y'all if last week if you thought that I should start doing video presentations and just make the podcast a little shorter. So I'm hoping that this is only going to be about 15 minutes. Thank you. This is me. So a lot of times it might just be audio. So now you know who I am. And today I'm talking about growing up in midlife and how we can, relate to each other as we grow more in our later years. And it seems like a lot of us are trying to be more conscious these days. In the last couple decades, we have really, come a long ways with our consciousness, and everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but many of us are trying to do better in the world, and we see what's happening and we want to do better for ourselves and for our family and for the planet. So I am so grateful for that. And so why is it that so many of us are found to be searching for more conscious ways to heal our emotions after the age of 40? When I say midlife's probably like, I don't know, technically it's like maybe age 40 to 55, or maybe some might say 60. It's kind of like in the middle of, a century of living, if you live till 100. So, yes, it is true that there are younger generations that are on top of their shit from a very young age. So amazing to see this. And for myself, I know many things or aspects of life were put on hold for me. Since I or unconsciously chose to have kids, get married, put my career off, when I was barely a legal adult. So I started, having a family and settling down at age 21. Then I stopped going to college and kind of put my whole career, which I didn't even know exactly what it was going to be at the time. I figured that out more after I had kids or in my mid 20s. I knew what I wanted to do, some of the stuff I wanted to do at least. And so heading into my 20s without truly knowing who I was or wanted to become, then my ambitions were set aside as I became a mother to 4 humans over the course of 13 years. Story to be told, hopefully, someday in my book. And so spreading our consciousness has evolved a ton over the past few decades. Thank God, right? So I ask myself, as I'm on my new adult path, as my kids are grown, my youngest is 17 and she's, very, very independent, probably having older siblings and whatnot. She's just probably my most independent child. I ask myself, am I relating from my subconscious mind? And am I being triggered by it? Because I definitely have, as a lot of us do, programming that's been done, right? A lot of us are already hearing about this, how our subconscious mind, what we're not conscious to, is just programmed from childhood, from traumas, from whatever we went through growing up, especially during our young years. And getting in touch with this is very important if we want to grow. Are my feelings being led by my true, authentic purpose? What story or narrative am I telling myself in every moment? So these are questions to ask if you're wanting to grow into, your highest self, into your greatest being, into, achieving the things that you're here to do. These are really good questions that I've been asking myself, and I wanted to share with y'all. Asking or checking in with the self daily in a loving, conscious way of just being aware is the first step to awakening what's been lost over time. There is amazingly so much more in this life than we will ever know. Relating to others in a loving manner is above all the most divine act in which will always bring peace to the soul. This is where we shall begin. The journey or path to stay in this light is definitely not always easy. It's a practice not taught to most and must consciously be learned at some point in order to truly find oneself. The stories in our heads that unfortunately are on replay, if we don't reprogram and weed out the crap that was passed on to us, swarming around in the complexity of the mind, becoming concrete belief systems. Left unchecked, these stories will rule every action we make in life, infecting how we see each other, how we relate, communicate, and talk to self. This becomes our shadow self. What part of you shows up most often? This will reflect when feeling triggered. Is it the inner critic? Do you have an inner defender or a wounded child? Or maybe all 3? So here's a practice that I learned in a mindfulness course that I took in 2020 during the pandemic. We all know and relate to 2020 being the majority of the pandemic, right? So life changed for many of us during that time. This will help bring awareness to self at any given time. I wanted to share this with you. During the day, try and become aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. The more you do this, the more it'll become just a regular, practice. Also, what inner stories are playing in your mind? Ask thyself how you are being activated in any way by what feelings come up. How old do you feel when this happens? What part is being brought forth in you, and what does this active part of self make you want to do? journaling by writing, recording an audio or video of what comes up is a great way to begin. Feeling into what is the only way to break through and release the pain that is blocking manifestations of feeling blissful freedom. And I would think that's really what anybody would want, is just to feel more bliss, to feel more free. I know in my authentic code, I really want safety and freedom and beauty and, other things, but it's very important for me to just feel free. And, I had said one time, I don't know, not that long ago, but some years back, I was like, as long as you can stay out of jail, you're free in a lot of ways, right? That's like the worst possible thing that can happen to somebody, I believe, is, being locked up, being caught up like in a system that you just like, you're bonded to that. You're just, all your freedoms are gone, and it's so unfortunate that there's so many people locked up that should not be. And then there's so many people that should be, probably too, of course, right? But as long as you can, stay the fuck out of jail, you really have a lot of freedom, right? To do whatever the fuck you want. And it's very important to be free. That's, I think one of the most, important aspects of life that we were given when we came here to this earth, is to have so many freedoms, to do so many things, and create the life that we want. So we all have choices, and some of those choices can really lead to just completely giving up all of your freedom, and that's very sad. So otherwise, we are just walking through life unconsciously living from our past traumas, however big or small. And that's not really very freeing either. It's like you're bonded to that, and I think about like one of my parents, I won't say who, but that is just, maybe in some ways free from the traumas of childhood, by just blocking it out. I think some of us will just block out trauma, but then we're still reacting from our subconscious because we don't realize that stuff is like programmed, and it's causing us to act and react in our lives to others from that trauma, even if we're blocking it out and we're not thinking about it per se. So now I've found that it is much easier when the mind is already in a calm state, or a state of conscious awareness, so to speak. There are breathing exercises, meditation, even attempting for just 5 minutes a day, practicing relaxation techniques, and herbs that will help support this process. The calmer our body is and our being is, the easier it is to tap in, right? To tap into our higher self and source, and to create the life that we want. But if we're just always like stressed out and in like fight or flight mode, and we can't even calm down enough to tap in to our highest being and to our purpose of what we are here to do, then we're going to miss a whole lot. We're really going to miss a whole lot. We're not really going to evolve the way that maybe we should, and why we're here and all that. So like I said, it's a journey. So many are coming together on this collective path right now to awaken more into who you were brought here to be or to become in your evolution. And the collective consciousness is what will bring us through the chaos that's trying to separate us in every way. It's speeding up. And I can tell you, I don't know how old you are, but at my age, I was born in 1973. I have learned a few things in life, and the title of this podcast reflects that a lot of what I'm learning, I wish I would have learned many, many years ago. And maybe in some ways I'm learning it in a different way, being more mature in some ways and having learned other things. But I mean, yeah, there's I could go on and on. There's so many things that youth should be taught. And most youth is not taught. There's still a systematic, um, what do I want to say? There's still a corrupt system that is within our school system. Let's say that. And so there are many things that really shouldn't be taught. And there are many things that should be taught to our youth. And so we grow up and then we have to find so many answers in life. We're running around like chickens with our heads cut off practically, lost and, searching for what we need. And sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes people may never find themselves. And that's really sad too. So I ask you, do you want more separation, division, hate speech, bad vibes surrounding you and your loved ones? Hell effing no, I say. Changing your life is really about doing the work, which can be quite fun and interesting, I've found. So very grateful for all the tools and inspiration that surround us these days. I'm a big fan of the many podcasts that I listen to. If there aren't ads, there are some new ones that I try to listen to, and then there'll be like these ads that come up, and I'm like, I can't, to each his own, but I appreciate the ones that I have and that I can keep coming back to that post every week. And there's enough info that's helping me to get along and evolve. I've never liked commercials or ads. I just can't. Not that I didn't grow up with them or with TV. I did. I grew up maybe with too much TV in my life, and then I kind of rebelled. And then my kids went to Waldorf school, and they were very anti-media and TV. And it's like I get triggered somehow, or it's just a distraction from what I'm attempting to accomplish in the first place. And my ADD brain, I don't know. Anyways, even if the ads are about something that I believe in and it's a good cause, I understand that people need to make money from their podcasts. And I've even thought about, these other, podcasters are doing this, like I should probably put something in too. And I agree with that to some extent, but sometimes I think it's overdone. I found myself like fast forwarding, like if you're watching something and there's all of a sudden an ad, like if you don't have a subscription and you're like fast forwarding, I do that with some podcasts too. So what has made so much sense is that in order to make space for the new to come in, right? Even if you're like manifesting like new things in your life, or if there's a new relationship that you want to attract into your life, or a new job, or something new that you feel that you're missing in your life, in order for that to come in, the reprogramming must be had. Is that we must first heal the old subconscious mind or unconscious program that is ingrained within. There are different techniques that are being practiced by many. One of my favorite is practicing good old meditation. So simple, so deep, so real, and so very effective. Like I said, even if you can find 5 minutes a day, it is beneficial. Even if you can find 5 minutes a day for breath work, conscious breath work, because so many of us aren't even breathing correctly. Like we just forget how to really breathe and connect with our body. Even if we can find 5 minutes a day to do just 2 or 3 asana poses, which is yoga, You think, oh, I don't have time to go to an hour yoga class. I don't have time to do an hour and a half of yoga. You know what I do? I have a secret that I learned many years ago. If you have a space where you can just leave your yoga mat out and it's like a rug or something, it makes it so much easier. This is a tip I'm going to tell y'all, that if you have it out, make it look nice. Like I have mine out in my living room. I've had it different places wherever I've lived. And then you can put like maybe a little, like blanket or like a pillow to sit on or something on it. And then it's there and you see it daily. Just sit down, whether it's the morning, the evening, whenever you have a moment, and take that time for yourself, whether it's to meditate or whether it's to do a few, stretches or yoga poses, whatever ones, that you like to do, and hold those poses for longer. Tap into your breath while you're doing those poses. These are great things that you can incorporate. It's very easy, and you can't say you don't have time. You can't say that you don't have that 5 minutes. And once you start doing it, it's a lot easier too. It just becomes regular practice. But I know we're all different, but if I didn't have my yoga mat out, I would probably still be practicing, but I feel like it's very hard for me to go to classes anymore since I became a teacher, that I have to maintain my practice at home. And that just really helps me, even if it's only like 10 minutes a day. Sometimes, I'll be able to do 20, and that's awesome. So meditation practice, when it's done right with breathing and learning to detach from your thoughts, will bring anyone clarity and peace. When we have clarity and peace within, then we can feel more of what's really happening. Then we can get proper, insightful guidance into what's what. If we need this, which many of us do, calm in the presence of chaoticness. This is how we are to be warriors during the times that we are in right now. And I also really enjoy doing the deep imaginings that I mentioned, I think last week. Maybe I've mentioned them a few times now. The deep imaginings from TBM, To Be Magnetic. They have a podcast called The Expanded Podcast, and I became a member. And I love doing the deep imaginings that are on there. They're like meditation, visualizations, somatic healing work. There is a little bit of breath work, visualizations, reprogramming of your subconscious, unconscious brain, and lots of great tools within each one. And you can do so many on different things and whatever you're dealing with. Anyways, reading anything about understanding how the mind works, detaching from thoughts as much as possible, and being more present and loving more. Thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it if you're here with me, and I will be hopefully putting a new podcast up every Sunday. Usually later is when I post this, but today I did visual, and next week I'm not sure what I'll be talking about, but all my topics have to do with healthy healing for you, your family, the planet, so we can all be the best that we can be for our future generations. Thank you. I love you, and have a beautiful week. Stay strong. Peace and blessings. Bye now.
I would really love to see all the children live in unity. And I would really love to hear everybody chant the psalm so loud and clear.
Thank you all so very much for listening today. I genuinely hope that you learned something, and I invite you to join me each week so you never miss a conscious wellness beat. This podcast holds a special place in my heart dedicated to my evolution here, my passionate mission to spread more consciousness for the much needed wellness on Earth. Come join me as a guest as well. Let's collaborate, making change for future generations.